That's us. Well, welcome to the Positive People Show. Aaron Watson, LinkedIn legend, Mr. Pouter. Give us a pout there.
Yeah.
Give us a pout. Aaron, I am so delighted to have you on the Positive People Show. You really are the LinkedIn legend. You are amazing. And first of all, if people don't know me and they're watching, I'm Denise Devlin. I am the founder and CEO of Positive Parties Training with a Difference, which is an inspirational, motivational and transformational training and coaching company. And we deliver workshops promoting positive mental health and positive mental attitude in a unique party style environment. We've been doing it online during lockdown, but now it's time for us to all get out again there, and we can come into your organization, and it's all about positivity and connecting, lots of tools and techniques using neuro-linguistic program, cognitive behavioral therapy and positive psychology, and we can bring that to you and bring some fun and reconnecting back into your workplace. Okay, so that's me. Aaron, over to you now. I am delighted that you're on the show. I first met you, I think it was about coming up 2 years ago.
Yep.
I was introduced to you before that on LinkedIn. My lovely friend Richard Wasson said to me, if you're going back on LinkedIn again, because I'd taken a wee bit of a break from LinkedIn because I was doing other things when I published my book, The Untold Story of Peter and Jesus the Gap Year. So I'd taken a bit of time off LinkedIn, came back to LinkedIn, and oh my goodness, what a refreshing change that I found in the whole LinkedIn, because there you were. There you were. LinkedIn before that I felt was a bit stuffy and I was a bit serious. And there you were pouting, doing all your wacky videos and just so out there. And I just loved it. And it just made me laugh. It made me smile. You had just such brilliant messages. And that was my introduction to you. And Richard was right when he said, Denise, you'll just love Aaron Watson because he's so wacky. He's just your kind of guy. You're going to love him. So do you want to tell everybody, people who don't know you, people who maybe are listening now on Facebook now, though this will be on LinkedIn later when I put it up on the Positive Parties YouTube channel and put it up the weekend. But do you want to tell people what you do and what you're about, a bit about yourself first?
So what I do, I'm a professional voiceover artist, and I also head up Jam Media, which provides telephone audio branding across telephone systems in businesses throughout Northern Ireland and the UK and further afield. Ultimately, it's all voiceovers, media, sort of do TV ads, radio ads, web campaigns, in-store radio, just all that kind of stuff. So I do pride myself in being Northern Ireland's #1 voiceover. I think if I say it that many times, then people will believe it. So that's kind of the hashtag Northern Ireland's #1. It's like anything, if you tell someone something enough, then hopefully they believe it.
And that's the lovely thing about you, Aaron. When I first saw you on LinkedIn, all your videos and all like the photographs, everything that you do, and you were saying that Northern Ireland's #1, voiceover. And people would say that, oh, you shouldn't put yourself out there on LinkedIn, but you did. But you had a lot of naysayers along the way, didn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You shouldn't sell on LinkedIn. So I immediately went on and sold because, very early on LinkedIn, I was told what I shouldn't do by marketing professionals within our wee country, Northern Ireland, who were in the business 20 plus years, and I wasn't doing it the way it should be done. Now, of course, that was before the pandemic. Right. Goodness me, as soon as the pandemic come, people were sitting in their boxer shorts and walking around with no clothes on, and so it just goes to show that we probably people's mindsets were a little bogged down, because as soon as lockdown came, people were just doing things that I was doing every day anyway. So I think sometimes people think they take themselves too seriously, and I think the pandemic has there's people out there doing worse than me. Not when I say worse, people out there doing other things than me. Now I'm actually quite reserved compared to some of the stuff that goes on now on social media, but it just goes to show that it did take not saying it took me to break the,
I think
you
it
know,
did.
that, but I had no problem doing it. And actually, the more abuse that I got, and the more, because it wasn't like people were coming to me and being constructive. They were
Yeah.
just literally coming and being abusive. So, and it was from people within Northern Ireland, which I found quite disgusting, to be honest, because it's a small country, we should be supporting each other. So that encouraged me, and I went from having absolutely no clue about LinkedIn, and I knew very quickly all about it because I was told what you should and shouldn't do.
Right.
I just went on my own journey then, and now I share my own journey, my own whatever, no matter how silly it may be. And you know, and I was told that as well, I was an embarrassment, and yeah.
Yeah, an embarrassment. So why would anybody think you're an embarrassment? Is that kind of just people that are a bit stuffy? Do you think that's
well, basically
my kind word?
Yeah, at a particular event in Northern Ireland, a marketing professional used me as an example as to how you shouldn't market. So basically, you should market like whatever way they perceive it to be, and this is how you shouldn't. And they didn't use my name, but they used my content on LinkedIn to say that it was an embarrassment. But it wasn't, because they didn't know the business that I was generating behind the scenes.
Of course.
They didn't know the relationships that I was building behind the scenes. They know now.
Yeah.
You know, they know now that by me standing out from everybody else, that it worked, and it's still.
Yeah.
So.
And I feel as well, it was because you persisted on that. Like we were laughing earlier, because I was saying that photograph that I put up of us to advertise that you were coming on, just to let people know, was like of like that, you know, you with the microphone and the funny wig, and me with the clown's outfit on, and we just did that silly picture. Because I was just so impressed by the way that you had come in as this breath of fresh air, so positive, so fun, with your message, always coming out of new creative ideas to tell people about what you were doing, that I got in touch with you, and I says, Aaron, I'm going to be coming up to Belfast, I could take it, we run out to Bangor, could we meet for a coffee? And we met for a coffee, and it was great. It was just, it was lovely to meet you. And I think you've frozen a wee bit there. Are you still here? Right, okay, sorry, you froze for a minute.
I'm here, yeah.
Yeah. Are you still there?
I'm still here, yep, I'm just checking my internet. No, I'm good.
Okay, well, hopefully it's not. Oh, we'll just keep going. Oh, you froze a wee. Right, okay.
I can hear you.
You can hear me, right? We'll just keep going. We'll just keep going. So I just thought when I met up with you, it was great then. You were able to just give me some tools and techniques and just tell me what you were doing and how you'd put yourself out there. And that gave me then, I feel, you were just really leading the field in this new way to approach LinkedIn. And it was so inspiring. And I felt then I was able to come on and, you know, just do some of my wacky stuff. So I think it was after that I went out in my banana suit, and I've done a few wacky things myself on my videos, you know. But I mean, it does, when you see somebody doing something creative and doing something fun, you want to stop and you're going to look, aren't you? You're going to listen.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. For example, if you want to talk about LinkedIn, when people are scrolling, they just scroll through the same sort of things.
Yeah.
If you see someone, for example, like yourself, standing in a banana outfit, you're going to stop and go, what the hell is that all about?
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not is your own choice, but it does make you stand out. And if you continue to do that, where you're standing out, then that's when people will then notice you. So I mean, obviously you were doing more wackier things than I was, in my opinion.
Oh, do you reckon? I don't know. I think it might be debatable.
But you do things that works. I mean, I was popping myself out of bins, and I was climbing trees with monkey outfits on, and hanging bananas from trees, and climbing out of skips, and holes in the road, and just doing things people wouldn't do. But it absolutely worked. And then, what I would say is, not just business related, but built lots of business through that. But built a lot of friendships, good friendships,
Yeah.
good relationships. People that I'll be friends with now for the rest of my life. People, even had someone here this morning for breakfast out the back, threw some bacon on the barbecue, and he only lives around the corner, and we'll be friends for life. So there's things like that LinkedIn has come from LinkedIn, not just the business side.
Yeah. Well, that's why I think you're on the Positive People Show because I see you as a very positive person, but I mean, it wasn't always like that for you. I've heard you speak a couple of times now, and you've told your own story about how when you were a child, a teenager, that you didn't have a very nice time at all. So would you like to share some of that? I found this the first time I watched, when I saw that you do that, it was online, and then I heard you speak it again the time you were up at Orway. You remember when you were doing for Gary Doherty, his Think Network? And I was really touched. It made me cry, actually, the first time I heard this story. So people who haven't heard it before, I'd like you to share a bit of what you just kind of went through, but it gave you such courage and resilience, I feel, to bring you where you are today. It was all part of your journey. So if you'd just like to share a bit of that.
Yeah, well, definitely today I am a strong, positive, not much gets me down due to how I was brought up. So basically my mum's husband was physically and mentally abusive, sort of from a young age into my teens, and I didn't really tell any of my family about it. I didn't think anyone believed me. I was more or less most nights locked in my room from either 4 o'clock or 6 o'clock. So I used to read loads and loads of books. I've read hundreds of books, seen it, Blyton, Famous Five, Secret Seven, all novels.
Yeah.
I used to hide under the duvet with a torch because I wasn't allowed to light on. But I think in later years from that, I can read. Like my wife would tell you, I could read a book, in 2 nights, and it would take her 2 weeks. Right. So I can read at exceptionally fast pace. So obviously, as a voiceover, you're making lots of content, and you need to be very quick at getting it out. So I could literally read and read and read and read without making a mistake for ages. So I think that definitely when I was younger was a big positive. Not knowingly, of course, as well. I used to listen to the radio and pretend to be like a DJ. And obviously I'm not a DJ or a radio presenter, but it all comes part and parcel of what I do within the media industry. So obviously I got out of that situation. I did speak out, and my family did believe me, and on we went. But I definitely think I am who I am today in a positive way, because even when I had my own children, I was they're 16, 18. My 2 youngest boys, my 2 boys are, so I was younger than that whenever I was even left home, because my aunt and uncle took me on. So they have even benefited from that, because I was actually probably a bit more, I would have been told sometimes I was overprotective,
right,
which could be a fault. They certainly had a great upbringing as children. There was, so it was very, very, and they've turned out so far, touch wood, two great boys. But so there's always lots of positives, and probably I wouldn't change it, because I'm quite happy with the person I am today. Very happy.
I remember you saying too in your speech that when you'd gone into a bit more detail, that there was a teacher that actually, you realized that there was something probably going on at home, and he took you and started, was it acting classes, or was it
no,
sports?
So what happened? Well, a bit of both. Mr. Edwards, he was my form teacher, and he definitely knew. I haven't actually ever spoke to him. I would love to be able to speak to him, but he definitely knew something was going on back in them days. You're talking, goodness me, 30 years ago. So back in them days, it's different than now. I don't know that the teacher would have got involved back then, but basically anyway, I used to do after school activities like cross country. He got me into that, and that would have been at the weekends too. And then also when the school plays were on, he looked after all the productions. So I was doing all the behind the scenes stuff, all the stage props, and and again that kept me out of school.
Right.
Or sorry, after school. It kept me after school, so kept me out of home. I would have plenty of detentions as well, so that kind of kept me out of home. But I did, obviously, it was very difficult. I did get suspended from school twice, and yeah, I would say that it absolutely affected my behaviour. But by third year, then I took a complete flip, and I never had a detention ever again since third year. And it was after that then when I spoke out to my family, and well, it was the police first. I'd actually run away, and the police said to me, basically this policeman took me to his house and met his wife and children and all. And he said to me, if I spoke to my family, they would believe me, because him and his family believed me.
Right.
He went way above and beyond his call of duty.
Wow.
He came in after he came out.
Yeah.
And then introduced me, that week or the week after, introduced me to his family, took me to his house for dinner. And then when they believed me, then I thought, well, my granny and granddad will believe me.
All right.
Which they did. They did.
Wow.
I remember packing a bin liner in my bedroom, absolutely crapping myself, and going around to my granddad's door, knocking this big red door, and I remember knocking the brass letterbox that you weren't allowed to touch, because my granny would have brassoed it. And I opened the door, and a big man, I just told him what had been happening, and that was it. It was over.
Wow.
Just like that.
I know. And what age were you? What age were you then?
I was probably 14.
14. Wow. Wow.
So that was it. It was all over. Stayed with my granda for a while, stayed with my uncle for a while, and then my aunt and uncle took me on full time.
Brilliant.
We moved on.
Fantastic. And as you said, all those reading the books and what you had gone through then has helped shape who you are now. It's just an incredible story of resilience, and then the kindness of that lovely policeman that took you to meet his family, and then but yeah, so
no, they were I've never actually got to meet him either, and I did actually try to find him a few years ago, but obviously it's very difficult to try and just stay here and trying to find this policeman called XYZ,
Yeah.
So but yeah, so now in adulthood nothing phases me really. I mean, after that then I remember going, obviously was able to move on, and then when I was 21 I got diagnosed with cancer.
Yeah, so I was going to say to you about that. That was the next thing, because there's the lovely story then about the doctor. You did get in touch with him, so if you want to tell people that story, because that's another amazing story, what you've been through, and then how positive you are about all this and what you do now for charity. We're always seeing you on LinkedIn and now. What is it you say? Check your balls, or is that it?
Talking balls campaign. So basically,
balls, that's it. So yeah, but you just keep saying to everybody to
I talk balls anyway, so it was right up my street. But anyway, so I was diagnosed with testicular cancer. I was only 21. Just long story short, I thought I was going to die. It was all very dramatic.
Yeah.
And but I the doctors in Belfast Trust were absolutely unbelievable, really unbelievable. And had the testicle removed and the cancer removed, and I've been clear pretty much ever since. So you're talking, I think it's 18, 19 years now.
Right.
But obviously that was a very, very difficult time, and I remember coming out of it, just going, I'm just going to live life to the absolute max. No one's going to bring me down. And I was very careful about my friend groups as well.
Right.
I always have been. If there's any people that just wouldn't be good to be around me, then I don't. I think everyone needs to choose very carefully.
Yeah.
Surround yourself with the right people.
Yeah.
100%.
Totally.
So yes, I've taken, not long after that actually, sounds like EastEnders, but not long after that, my brother died. He drowned, and he was only 21.
Yeah.
And that was awful, and so that was absolutely, we shared a bedroom growing up, and it was very, very sad time. So touch wood, from my early 20s, there hasn't really been anything dramatic happen, so I hope it continues to stay like that. But I think the first half of my life, all those things that happened, you take that into your adulthood, and you just nothing really fizzes on me. People, you have these keyboard warriors, and you have people say you're too fat, you're too thin, you're too tall, you're too small. I couldn't give a flying crap.
Yeah.
As long as I have my wee family now, of course, I've got my children and my wife, and my wife's family, my own family. It's strange. You went from being a young child to thinking you have absolutely nobody, locked in a bedroom. You can't go to your family, nobody's going to believe you. I have a huge family. Even found my dad, I never knew who he was, and then when we got married, before we got married, must have been, I don't know, 13, 14 years ago, my wife said you should try and find your dad, because I had tried when I was younger. Unfortunately, we did find him, but he had just died in September. But his whole family knew who I was. My picture was on his wall. They took a picture of his wall when they were clearing his house out after he died. They knew who Aaron was, remembered me, and we're extremely close now. So it went from thinking. A lot of times people think they have nobody, to having the most massive family, close family, and a great friend group as well. So it just goes to show, though, sometimes people do get to a place where you think, God, there's no way out of this, and I don't have anybody, and don't have anything. And it's, well, for me personally, it was mindset.
That's it.
I didn't think anyone would believe me. I didn't think that anyone was there for me, and all this sort of stuff. But quite the opposite. So now we just let rip and live life to the max, and keep her lit every week.
You're amazing.
Best we can.
That's amazing. And for you, is it to say after that, when you went in, and then went to your granddad, and then lived with your auntie and uncle, that happened, that was a turnaround, and then though you had the cancer, and then very sadly you lost your brother, so it was like 1, 2, 3 of these things. But as you said, after that, it was like nothing could knock you down. You just kept going, and it was really as if then everything has really turned around for you, and it's like meeting your dad's family, and obviously having your own wonderful family, and then like starting up your business, and it's just gone from strength to strength. But you had your own at the start with it too. I remember you saying once about you really wanting to get in touch with people, contacting, and wanting to make a sale, wanting them to know about you, and you kept getting rejections. But that's what I love about you too, Aaron, your persistence. You just persist and persist. And there was a story once about just sending it out then to people. It's something about your voice about sent to Australia. So do you want to tell us about that? I just find that's amazing. Your positive persistence.
Yeah. So when I first started doing voiceovers, you get a lot of rejection. You still do. You still get rejection, not as much, but at the beginning, you just get rejected all over the place. So it was very difficult in Northern Ireland. We're a small place, and it's very niche market, so it was very hard to get any work, extremely hard. So what I did was send out emails then with demos and things of my voiceovers to radio stations in Australia, especially coming up to St. Patrick's Day. And randomly it was loads of work came for different radio stations in Australia. It was pretty surreal. I sat in our utility room with the door locked at 2 in the morning, making phone calls and sending emails, and and getting work. And actually some of the work, you know, I didn't have a studio or any recording facilities or nothing like that at the time. And I used to hire out a studio and an engineer, and sometimes it cost me more money. I didn't make any money. It cost me money to actually do it, because I was so desperate to get the work and have, like, you know, the work to take the other places. So quite often it cost me money. But then I was able to then bring all that work that I did in Australia and go around the radio stations in Northern Ireland. I remember getting my first job with Cool FM. Pardon me, for PPI insurance, I think it was something I totally don't even agree with, but I didn't care. It was like, boom, get it done. And then I just went from each radio station, the UTV, the Sky over in London, flew over there as well. And then, you know, production houses, and then it just sort of, you know, escalated. And then obviously we've created Jam Media now, which is going from strength to strength. We're doing really well. We've got lots of businesses in Northern Ireland on board, so it's but yeah, at the beginning it was very, 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 very difficult. Don't get me wrong, you know, it doesn't all fall on my lap. I think some people sometimes think that. You have to work very hard. You have to continually put yourself out there, and you have to continually be visible. And, you know, nothing really comes easy. There is times when, you know, people send referrals and people know who you are, so they trust you, and they use you before you even open your mouth, you know. But then again, that's all about the process from building from the beginning to go, you know, not nowhere near where we want to be still. But it's like anyone or anything, you have to put the building blocks in place and just keep building and keep going and keep plowing on, keeping our lip, whatever way you want to put it.
Totally. But I feel too, the with you saying there, like you getting in touch with Australia, do you feel that starting to give you more clout then when you came back to Northern Ireland to get people to say, you know, going around the radio stations here and stuff, or even like, you know, locally or in the UK or even down south, and saying, listen, I'm working in Australia? Do you think that helped?
What it did was so at the time I was just doing the voice. Now obviously I can voice, produce, add music, edit, do the whole heap. At the time I was just voicing. So what that did was, when I voiced it and sent it off to all these radio stations and they created the ad, then they sent me a copy of it. So then I was able to send proper full adverts around radio stations and TV in Northern Ireland that I couldn't do before. Because I never had it. So then I created like a reel of work, and then it sort of just went on from there. So that's kind of what going to Australia did for me. I continued to do it. Now, don't get me wrong, I did it for a few years, anymore, but don't necessarily want to be up at 2, 3, 4 in the morning replying to emails anymore.
But it's probably, and you were saying the other day too, I saw you put something up about, you know, sometimes when people have maybe rejected you in the past and said, no, we don't want you to do that, and then you might even leave it, and then years, you know, so many years later, people are coming then looking for you. You don't have to go looking for them like you're doing now. There's places like Maxall, Centra, Super Value, Apple Green, like all those organizations, that it's your voice that people will hear when they go in, your wonderful tones. So if anybody's listening here now on Facebook or on LinkedIn, the next time they're in any of those places, listen out for Aaron.
Northern Ireland's #1. So you have to keep saying it, make people believe it. But yeah, so again, that was stuff that came, that actually came by fluke. Somebody was looking for a Northern Irish voiceover, and they just sent me an email. And I said, yep, I can do some stuff. I think it was for Centra, and then it went to Super Value, then it escalated and went to, you know, ended up doing a lot of stuff for Spar, and it just kind of escalated, and that's kind of where we are now. So still do all that, except for Spar, but I'm working on that.
And you would say, so it's not just you, like if people go into a shop, they can hear you on the background, but you do it's telephone as well, isn't it? Because I know Vicky, or when you ring Vicky's phone, you can hear the lovely Aaron on the phone, you know, given the
Yeah, so Jam Media, basically we provide various voices, so it's not just mine, but when you ring into a business and you'll hear thanks for calling, press 1, press 2, press 3, and then when you put on hold and you've got all that on hold marketing messages, and when you ring and you're closed, obviously there's a voice there. So, you know, that's what we provide, which is basically audio branding. So we do a lot of businesses in Northern Ireland, and we have various voices and various music as well. So it's not just always my voice, but hopefully the voice you do hear is a customer of Jam Media's.
Right, of course, brilliant. And so Jam Media has just been set up recently, though, isn't it? Because before, when I first saw you on LinkedIn, it was like you, and then is it past year really? It was Jam Media, or is it more?
Yeah, so it was just me, but then what you want to do is create a bit of variety. You want to grow, you want to bring people on board. So we have brought people on board, and you know, you want to reach out further, and you want to bring more businesses on board, and you want to, you know, be visible. And you know, the more people you work with, the more relationships you build, and the more you grow. So that's kind of where we are now with that, and just want to continue to keep doing that.
Brilliant. And you know what I love that you've been doing recently too, especially during the whole, I think, yeah, it was really more so during the whole lockdown thing. You kept putting up about Our Wee Country. Did that start before that, or was that around then, or was that before that?
No, I think for me, you know, before lockdowns, we're all sort of caught in this rat race that people would say. Now I would more call it the fun run, because I quite enjoy what I do. But when the lockdowns came, I think, you know, I was going out for more walks, I was going out for runs, I was going to places on my doorstep that I never really went to. I did with the kids when I was younger, but the kids are older now, so you stop going to the parks, and you stop going to the country parks and the waterfalls, and you stop going to all these walks along the beach and all those things that, you know, are just around the corner. So, you know, to get a bit of headspace and to get out and about, I've been, and you realise how amazing our country is. It's stunning. Some of the places 5 miles away, 2 miles away, 1 mile away, and you just get lost and you don't visit these places. So I think the Our Wee Country thing just came from really during lockdown. You kind of realise what a country we live in. So we do. Some of the places is extraordinary, and they're only around the corner.
I know. I love when you put up your you know, just your photographs, or you do videos, and it's, you know, beautiful scenery and out and about, and you just have the tag Our Wee Country, and it's, yeah, it's so beautiful, and it's just appreciating it, isn't it? And I think that's what lockdown has done to everybody, getting us to appreciate what we have here now, and, you know, right in front of our own eyes, on our own doorstep. And it's appreciating everything that we've got, and not taking anything for granted at all. But I mean, you don't do that.
Absolutely.
You never do that. You're really appreciative of everything. I can really see that.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I think even now I have conversations regularly, even with my children. Even the other day, you know, a few weeks ago, their granny died, and we've had conversations about, you know, you think about all the things that your granny did for you. You think about all the weekends at her caravan, away out in your granddad's boat, all these things, you know, that all these happy memories, all these things. And I was even having that conversation about, you know, you treasure those, never forget them. And, you know, just be grateful for everything.
Right.
You know, and always remember you have everything on your doorstep. You know, even when we were younger, there's so many things you can do. When we were younger, we were taking the kids out. You don't need to go out to all these fancy places. You can go to the park and it's free. You can go to the country park and it's free. You can go to the beach and it's free. There's so many things that it's free and costs nothing.
Totally, I know, totally.
You go out and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Just appreciate everything around you.
Yeah. Definitely. And that's the whole thing about the positivity to it, isn't it? Just gratitude. Gratitude keeps us positive. Gratitude keeps us in that high vibration. It's all about raising our vibration. And basically it's all about, I'm looking at this wee card here, it's all about love, isn't it? It's about loving ourselves, loving the people that, loving who we are, and that's what I think about you when I first saw you on LinkedIn as well, and you were getting the naysayers. People were probably, people didn't like you coming out and being pouting, and being, hey, look at me, I'm Northern Ireland's #1. That's in our culture, Northern Irish culture. You don't do that. It's like, oh, look at him, he's so full of himself. It was like you got a slap for being full of yourself. You had to just be humble, be. The thing is, you have to love yourself and you have to be proud of yourself.
You absolutely do, yeah.
If you're not proud of yourself and what you do, like, who is? You have to. If you can't, I always say that there's that saying, you can't give what you don't have. So if you are hating yourself and you don't like yourself and you're not prepared to put yourself out there, but if you do love yourself and you're like, yeah, I'm amazing, I've got all these skills and all these gifts, and you put yourself out there, you're giving that to yourself so you can give it to more people, and you attract then those people into your life that are the ones that are going to use your services, that are attracted to your lovely energy,
Yeah. People have said to me before, if you have all these sort of qualities or these skills, or you have this great thing that you can offer, go about your work quietly. That's nonsense. You need to go out from the rooftops and tell people. That's how I see it. If people can go about their business quietly if they want, that's no problem. But for me, I went about things very quietly as a child, and it didn't work for me. And I went about things shouting from the rooftops, and it works. So what works for me may not work for other people, but you don't know until you try it. And also as well, just because you try it and it doesn't work for a week or two doesn't mean to say that it's not going to work. For example, when I came to LinkedIn, I got absolutely slated. Now, I know my makeup's slightly different to other people, but I was kind of like, well, I'll show you. If I want to come on this platform and talk about this or that, then I can. Nobody can tell you what you can and can't.
Of course they can't,
As long as you're not going on about bloody political nonsense or whatever, and you're not going on to offend anybody. You have a right to express yourself, and that's what I did. And thankfully, look, I didn't know at the time, but thankfully, most of our wee country have been great with it, and my network's grown, my relationships have grown, my business has grown, and it continues to grow, and my reach grows. I'm quite happy with the way that it's panned out thus far. So happy days, keeping her lip, sound as a pound, mate.
Totally. And the thing is too, when you put yourself out there and you get noticed, you can, I think it's just easier to build friendships, because you're not going to notice somebody who's kind of like staying in the background. That's how we all met then when we went to, you remember when Gavin Wall had his The Greatest Showman, and we all met
Gavin
up
Wall, that. Yeah, Gavin, I mean, to be honest, when I first came to LinkedIn, Gavin Wall was doing The Greatest Showman a couple of months in, and I remember I wasn't actually going to go to it, tried to pull out of it at about 4 o'clock, and Chris McClanagan persuaded me to go, him and Henry McCrory, so I went, and I came out of that night and actually was like, I'll just do whatever I want in business, because I had this worry when I came onto social media platforms, that some of the big clients I already had, not only could I possibly lose them for being myself, but I wouldn't attract any other ones. But I remember coming out of The Greatest Showman and just going, literally, I'll not swear, but fluff this. I'm doing this is me.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna be me. And since then I was me. Randomly my network started to grow at an extraordinary rate. Wow. And relationships started to build, the business started to build, and it was going, everything I did was against the grain.
Brilliant. Yeah.
And it worked. So
it's amazing. Like, it's amazing. but Chris and Henry, I'm sure, would have been encouraging it as well, because they're outside the box as well, and everything that they do, And I did laugh when I was saying that you were coming on. I put on Chris's, because I just thought, how did I just describe you? And I thought that was just his testimonial really described you to a T. But I did laugh there. He put a wee thing underneath LinkedIn saying, yeah, singing your praises, but saying, yeah, I was forced to do that testimonial. And I put back, you were not. You meant every word
He
of
definitely
it.
wasn't.
Of course he wasn't.
Yeah, no, I mean, Chris and Henry were the two guys that more or less told me or encouraged me to come to LinkedIn. And that's, you know, I came to LinkedIn and posted a few times, got no engagement, nothing, and was just sort of thought this is a lot of cake. But again, like I said earlier, nothing happens overnight, so you have to build and you know, try and be consistent, and which is hard work. But you know, obviously now it worked. So.
And were you doing at that time, like you post most days, don't you? Do you post?
I would do a post, try and do a post every day. Sometimes it might be every other day, but just try to be consistent. I think actually randomly during the lockdown, well, during the lockdown, I know for example, my whatever you want to call it, LinkedIn followers or connections, whatever, doubled just during lockdown.
Yeah. You were doing the stay safe then hashtag then, I remember that was it.
Yeah, it was just trying to embrace it because it was obviously a difficult time.
Yeah,
still is, you know, for a lot of businesses out there. So it's just more or less trying to embrace it and see the positives, and there was loads of positives. I mean, I got to spend so much time with my wife, with my family. I was able to get things done to the house. You know, you had just more head space, and there was lots of Zoom calls going on actually with family that on a regular basis, or phone calls or WhatsApp calls that actually, to be honest, maybe might not have spoken to them for 2 months. But then because of the pandemic, everyone was trying to keep touch with each other. It was at them was you were speaking to everybody very regularly, and actually that pretty much still happens even though we're out of the lockdowns.
Yeah. Which is great. It's just, but it's helped build relationships. I find that as well too. Very much so.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because I know. Sorry.
No, I'm just saying. So I you know, as difficult as the pandemic has been, I still think there's been a lot of positives that come out of it. Yeah,
I do too, definitely. But I think what you were coming out with as well too is, again, your messages throughout that whole time during, you know, from last year, from the lockdowns, were always so upbeat and positive. You know, they really were. And that, you know, that, who doesn't want to see that? Who doesn't want to see upbeat, positive, you know, videos, posts that are going to connect people? And it was, and that's what it's all about, I think. And you too seem to be, it's very much, you've stayed on one platform, haven't you? You aren't jumping from LinkedIn to Facebook and anything else.
I think, my reason, just personally, my reason for that is just if I, you know, was on LinkedIn and on Twitter and on Facebook and on Snapchat and on Instagram, I just wouldn't have time to do anything because and it just wouldn't be productive. So again, that's what works for me. So that's just what I stick to. You know, even TikTok, I joined it and done my best, but it was just too time consuming. So, you know, it's what works for me.
Yeah, you're very wise. You've great, I think you just really, you've got a great mindset, Aaron, that you just say, right, okay, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm going to try. That didn't work, you know, so you just look at your strategies. You're like, well, being quiet on LinkedIn didn't really work for me. You know, I'm just going to be me from like The Greatest Showman. This is it, I'm going to be me. So you take that other approach. It works for you. You keep doing it. You don't care what anybody says. And I love the way, as you said, when people said, oh, you shouldn't be pouting on LinkedIn, you shouldn't be doing this, this is not the way to do it. It was nearly later, it fueled you more to say, well, do you know what? I'm not going to, you know, hide under a bushel. I'm not going to, this is me, I'm going to do it my way. And fair play to you, you know, really fair play to you. And then knowing as well your strength, that, you know, if you're on too many social media platforms, it takes away from your core, from if you're too stretched then from your family life.
Well,
from
it's
your
suck the
work.
life out of you, yeah. Well, it's suck the life
Totally,
out
I
of me
know.
being on all those platforms, so that's why I
Yeah,
don't do it, you know.
yeah,
Even I have a YouTube and I've had to go with that, but it's just, you know, you have to see what works for you.
yeah,
And you know, I think what I'm doing now is what works for me, has done and does at the minute. If I needed to look at that again, then that would be grand. But I'm not a big social media person anyway. I don't want to be. I'm not on Facebook or anything. I don't want to be on
right.
posting pictures of my dinner and checking into XYZ. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
LinkedIn actually has a purpose, and as I've
yes,
already said a couple of times, it's building your business, building relationships, being visible, and you know, just connecting. You
yeah,
know, there's a purpose to it for me. You know,
yeah,
so you know, as you mentioned there, um, I do this stupid pipe thing, something that used to annoy the life out of me when the kids were doing it. But when somebody told me on LinkedIn you shouldn't do a pout, I kind of made that accidentally my trademark.
I love it.
So, but again, that's something that stands out, because if you're flicking through LinkedIn and you see somebody standing there doing a big trout pipe, you're like, what the hell are they doing? So, but the good thing is, you know, most people actually have embraced it, and I have loads of people say to me that they wish they could do what I do, but they can't
Right,
do it because of the business behind them, or the business they're representing, or because it
right.
wouldn't fit their model that they're trying to represent, or
Right.
whatever. I've had lots and lots of people. I actually have people that send me messages and don't like or comment on my content on LinkedIn, but they love it, but they don't, for whatever the reasons are, want to
To be
to
seen. To be like,
be seen to be. You know,
yeah,
you mentioned Gavin Wall. He could probably tell you quite a few stories more than I can. And we're all different, so I just think, you know, embrace it. Don't agree with hiding behind. I get it. You need to represent the business. I do understand that, but I still think you can still be you.
yeah, yeah,
I think more people are. How many people now do you see posting pictures that they're out at the gym, they're out for one run, they're out for a walk, they're out for
yeah.
a family picture? You didn't get that on LinkedIn before the pandemic.
I know. It's amazing the things now that work. Do you know what? There was a post I did. It was the 1st of December. I remember we just put up the Christmas tree. Mum and Dad were up. I think Neil was working. The girls were there, and Dad and I started dancing to Last Christmas. And Orla took a wee video of it. And I just thought, I'll post that up. You know, is anybody getting the Christmas spirit? Oh my goodness, just seeing people seeing me and my dad.
Yeah.
Doing that wee dance, and then I think I put it up on LinkedIn, just saying how, you know, he's a businessman, and all the kind of stuff he'd done, and you know, he's got Alzheimer's now. He still knows everybody's doing great, but he just loves to dance, and there's such the joy I had just to really appreciating every day with my dad now.
Yeah.
And he's actually going to be 80 this Saturday, and that post got so much traction because it was just the heartfelt, you know,
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
you know, just me dancing.
No, absolutely.
Even with
I
my
think
dad,
people, yeah, people buy people as well, don't forget. So,
yeah,
you know, and behind this is the thing that actually I probably only learned about 3 years ago. I can remember saying it over and over to my wife for a long time, and I still do say it every now and again. But, you know, so I would be working with business owners, directors, you know, whatever you want to call them. And I can remember thinking, God, how could I ever get in front of this guy? How could I ever, you know, these boys are turning over millions and millions and millions, and all this. See every single person, every director, every business owner, every millionaire, every whatever that we want to call them. They're a human being, just like me or you.
yeah,
They like a bit of crack, generally. They have their family that go home on a Friday night and pour themselves a glass of wine or whatever the hell they do. I would have had this sort of, we're nearly like a fear, because you were thought they're these people that are actually not. They're just normal guys.
You kind of would probably have them up on a bit of a pedestal.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
the guys are doing the same things, taking their kids to football on a Saturday morning, or
yeah,
going out for a bite to eat with their wife. They're just normal dudes or women, doing their normal everyday things. But you know, people think, I know I did, I sort of thought, how can I be standing in front of these people? It's like a nervous thing, or they'll not want to talk to me, or they'll not, you know, that's all nonsense. That's barriers.
Totally.
And that's barriers that, you know, probably a lot of people need to break down. It was certainly barriers I had to break down. Now I wouldn't care. I would stand doing a handstand in front of the Queen. It doesn't bother me. She's just a normal woman. Just a normal woman. She just happens to be, you know, the royal head of the UK, or whatever way you want to put it. But she's just a granny, a mum, and an auntie, and a cousin. You know, it's so
so you'll have to do a pout in front of Her Majesty sometime when she comes over.
No problem. Definitely still respect people. I'm not saying
of course,
respect people. What I would say is, I would never, I often say I don't really care what people think, but I would never ever want to offend anybody purposely. Either, you know, so, you know, but unfortunately in this day and age, you have to be so careful what you do and don't say. So
I know. I always use this. I must get it here. Actually, when I'm doing one of my positive parties at the end, I would just use one of these, and it's like my the Wizard of Oz, and we have like the scarecrow, you know, and he didn't think he had a brain, and then the Tin Man didn't think he had a heart, and he didn't think he had any courage, and you know, Dorothy, she just wanted to go home. But I just think, like, all of us, if we could turn into that Connect Four, like if we use our thoughts and we use our mindset like you did, you know, and you when you decided, then your mindset changed, and you just had your mindset, positive mindset, and this is what you were going to do, this is how you were going to do it, and you just followed through. So we have to look after our thoughts and keep our minds, instead of going into negativity and worrying and what will other people think, just think positive. The other thing is forgiveness. You know, things can happen us in our life, but if we hold on to that anger, and it's like having an armor and around us, so we're going to have that armor around us for the rest of life, and you know, things happen to us, but we have to, you know, then just get on and let go. And as you said, what happened to you, you moved on, that part of your life was over and moved on, and that's forgiveness. And then courage, you know, to step out. The lion thought he didn't have any courage, but it's that fear, you know, just let go and just step out of our comfort zone and do things that we didn't think we can do. Like you saying, you know, you were going to be quiet on LinkedIn, and then all of a sudden saying, right, you know what, I'm just going to be me. So I'm sure that took courage as well. Yeah. And then the last thing is Dorothy, you know, she didn't think she was any better than any of the rest of them. Dorothy didn't look and say, I'm any better than them. So I think it's really important, like you say, you know, don't think you're superior to anybody, or don't think you're inferior to anybody, because basically we're all one. You know, everybody, as you said. That's
a very good way of saying it. That's kind of that's the shortened version of my long version there. Don't think you're inferior to other people, because we're all the same. Absolutely, every single person is the same person. They just have a title or a role that can sometimes make you feel inferior to that, which is it's nonsense. You know, we're all the same.
I feel that as well. So it's like, you know, we're all going to fall off the yellow brick road sometimes, but it's basically just about getting on it again and saying, right, okay, and just being positive, coming from our heart, you know, clinking the heart and the mind, having courage to step out, and just realizing we're all one and everybody's the same. So that's my wee analogy of the the wizard of Oz there, you know. But another thing too, before we wrap up,
like a wizard there with that hat.
I know, this is my greatest, I wore this on the first one. I thought, every Positive People show I'm going to wear that hat, and I wore that to the Greatest Showman that time that we all went up in Belfast. And my dad had a men's clothing shop, Modern Man, in Strabane, for 43 years. And he always used to do hire wear for weddings and, you know, things like that. So that hat came from Modern Man.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. It's part of my thing for the Positive People show. But just one more thing. I love the way as well, Aaron, that you will really promote supporting local. Like, you'll see you put a wee post up there, and you'll be having like Belfast gin, or you'll be having something from home, and you're great too about supporting local, supporting Northern Ireland, supporting our wee country, and you'll put things up from other businesses and support them, and you have a really big following on LinkedIn, and people are getting to see it. So that's a lovely thing to do as well.
Yeah, well, it's just, you know, I like to support local anyway. I think a lot of people do, so probably not
Yeah.
too different from many people. But yeah, no, if there's a product there that you know, that we like or my family like or whatever, you know, I'll definitely make a bit of noise about it.
Yeah.
Um, just yeah, support local, support your own country, and support the businesses here within Northern
Yeah.
Ireland.
Yeah.
Quite often years ago, you would have been, you know, having your gin that would have been from England somewhere, and you would have been
Yeah.
having, you know, your bread or whatever, you know. But quite often now, everything's local. It's, you know, so I like to, if something's good, I do like to shout about it. I shout about my own business, and I shout about the things I do for myself, but I also like to shout about other people if they have a good product, or they're, you know, if they need shouted about. I have no problem doing that.
No, that's great. And that's lovely too. That's all the part of building relationships, having networks, and about, you know, building other people up. Because it's all about, you know, making an impression of interest, isn't it? An impression of interest. And what you do, you're the very best at. And then what, you know, if you see other people doing it, it's not about competition. It's about, you know, cheering other people on as well, which is great.
Yeah, I think as well, though, it's nice to be cheered on. I've been cheered on myself, and it's nice. It's nice. It's nice to be helped and nice to be encouraged, but it's also nice to help others, and to encourage people as well. So, you know, yeah, I just support local. Honestly, I like to go to local coffee shops. I like to go to our local fishmongers. I like to get, you know, local products, local drinks, local restaurants. You know, it's just, I think a lot of people do, though.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
And I like to just think as well, during the pandemic, we've all needed to support each other locally anyway.
Totally, yeah.
So again, probably from the pandemic, I've been preaching about supporting local, and yeah, happy to support local, love our wee country, love to keep her lit.
Keep her lit, is definitely, it's great. But I always remember mum saying years ago, because it was my mum and dad being in business, and it was always, you know, supporting local and supporting, you know, people in the town, customers coming in, then you bought of them, and it was really important part of, like, when I was growing up. But I remember years ago me thinking, oh, I can't wait to get out of Strabane. You know, it's like, so with my Emer now, I'm two Emer and Orla, 15 and 18, and Orla can't wait to get away to Manchester to go to university. But she'd always say, I remember mum saying, she's, oh, I can't wait to go. Mum said to her, don't down your town. So the girls would say that now, you know, they're like, yeah, but grandma says you never down your town, and you don't. But suppose at my age too, when I was 18, I couldn't wait to get away. But you're like 17 years later, I came back again. And yeah, with my Belfast husband in tow, because he loved fishing. I put a wee post up the other day about Neil going fishing. And we've got the Mourne River and all around here, and Lough Erne just up the road. So,
yeah, so our country is an amazing country, and I think even you'll see people are coming home in their droves. People are going away to work for all the big money across the water, whatever it may be. There's so many people coming back now to Northern Ireland, and we definitely have some of the bestest scenic spots and some of the nicest areas. And yeah, it's
great people.
Great people. Fantastic people.
Yeah, and of course, I don't know if you watched Line of Duty, but I think anybody who was watching it just loved Adrian Dunbar's sayings that he would have come out with as well. You know, I think there's just, that was classic. The way, did you watch Line of Duty?
I don't watch it. No, surprisingly, that's one of the things. I don't really watch a lot of TV.
Right.
So that's one thing I probably do least. You know, even all the Game of Thrones and stuff, I haven't watched them.
Right.
It's just, yeah, I'm not a big TV watcher, like, you know, so
sometimes there's a series like that on, I would like to watch it, you know. But it was just funny, as Aidan Dunbar was just using all these like one-liners, you know, Northern Ireland things.
I've seen some of his wee quotes, I've seen Jesus Mary and his wee donkey or something.
But fella in Egypt, and he just was saying things. I don't know if Egypt was in it, maybe it was one of my words, but there was sayings that he would say that were just really Northern Irish sayings, and it was so funny, and you would wonder what people, you know, across,
It's great to have that, though. You think of all the local, you know, years ago, nothing was made here in Northern Ireland. Now we have some of the best shows, like the Dairy Girls. I've watched it, cracking, really, really good. Obviously you've got this Line of Duty or whatever it's called, the Game of Thrones, and there's loads of even there's a comedy series, can't remember the name of it now, but there's lots now made in Northern Ireland, where before it was all, nothing was here. But
I know.
It seems to be in the last decade people have realised what awesome scenery we have and places to be.
And how amazing we are, and how amazing the people are. Like when you think of the banter here and the crack and the slagging and the back and forth, and it's just really good crack, isn't it? You know, there's just a different sense of humour.
Absolutely. If someone in your family doesn't slag you off for a whole week, you know there's something wrong. So, yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well,
we insult our friends and family on a regular basis, and it's, if you don't, then it's like, oh, there must be something wrong here. He hasn't insulted me for a week.
I know, it's just all a bit of the crack, isn't it? It's about, yeah, that's what positive people do here in Northern Ireland. Camille, thank you so much for coming on the Positive People Show. It was brilliant. If anybody wants to get in touch with you, where can they find you? On LinkedIn, obviously.
You can find me on LinkedIn, Aaron Watson, or on our website, www.janmedia.com.
So Jan is spelled J-A-H-N, isn't it?
Yep, J-A-H-N Media.
Right. Okay.
And yeah, or if you're really stuck, go into your local Super Valley or centre or something like that, and you'll hear me anyway.
Right. Yes, of course, of course. And I hope you all enjoyed Aaron's story today. He's amazing. I was so delighted to hear and have him on the Positive People Show. And again, Denise Devlin from Positive Parties Train with a Difference. We are doing workshops now when everything opens up again. We're going to be out there and bringing some positivity and some fun and some laughter and some reconnecting your staff teams. So do get in touch for that. On positiveparties.com, and also on Facebook. We have a Facebook page and I have a community called the Positive People Community, Denise Devlin. So if you want to join the Positive People Community group on Facebook, you can get in touch as well. So Aaron, thanks a million. If we just want to say cheerio to everybody now, and I'll get this up on LinkedIn for the weekend, and hopefully we'll have some viewers and people will be able to hear your wonderful story. So thank you very much. Keep her lit. You're absolutely amazing. And thank you so much.
You're too kind. You're too kind. Thank you very much.
Okay. Give us a pout before you go. Fantastic. Fantastic. You're brilliant. All right then, Aaron. Thank you.
Thank you, Denise. All right.
Bye.
Keep her lit.
Okay. Bye. I'm just stop.
You.
Hold on.